She was the daughter of one of the best surgeons in the city, yet she had never taken a single step in her life. Doctors said it was impossible, her future chained to a wheelchair forever. But then, on a cold night outside a hospital, someone no one expected appeared. A boy the world ignored, a boy with nothing, dared to say, "Let me try." What happened next wasn't just about walking. It was about dignity, prejudice, and the truth we're still afraid to face. Would you believe me if I told you that hope came from the very person society had already thrown away? Her name was Emily. The daughter of a renowned surgeon, she grew up in a home where science, precision, and answers ruled every decision. Yet for all her father's brilliance, there was one mystery he could never solve: why his little girl could not walk. From her first breath, her legs refused to obey her. Doctors came and went, each with the same verdict: hopeless. Still, Emily wasn't bitter. She painted, read books, and smiled through the whispers of strangers who pitied her. But behind her bright eyes lived a quiet ache, watching the world move while she remained still. Her father tried everything: surgeries, therapies, experimental treatments. Nothing changed. And in a city where appearances mattered, Emily's wheelchair became a symbol, not of resilience, but of limitation. What no one knew was that her life was about to collide with someone society had cast aside, someone who would challenge everything. She'd been told about healing, faith, and even humanity itself. Emily's world was small but safe, until one evening shattered that illusion. Her father had been invited to a hospital gala, a gathering of polished faces and whispered reputations. Emily attended reluctantly, her wheelchair drawing the usual mixture of pity and avoidance. She was used to it. What she wasn't used to was what happened outside that night. The event was held at a towering glass building downtown. Cars lined the street, tuxedos sparkled under the entrance lights. But just a few feet away from the glow, on the cold concrete, lay a boy no one wanted to see. His clothes were torn, his skin dark, his body thin from nights spent hungry. To the guests, he was invisible, or worse, a threat. Security muttered, eyes narrowed. Emily noticed him watching the entrance, but it wasn't hunger for food in his gaze. It was something else: curiosity. When her father stepped away to greet colleagues, Emily rolled closer. She saw his hands trembling, not from drugs or danger, but from cold. And then he looked straight at her legs, not with disgust, not with pity, with possibility. But before she could ask his name, a security guard shoved him back. Harsh words cut the air. "Move along! You don't belong here!" His crime? Breathing too close to wealth, existing in the wrong skin at the wrong place? Emily's chest tightened. She wanted to protest, but she knew what her father would say: "Don't get involved." Yet that night she couldn't stop thinking about him. Days later, fate forced their paths to cross again. Emily was waiting outside the hospital, the cool wind brushing her face, when she saw him helping an elderly woman carry groceries across the street. No one asked him. No one thanked him. And yet he did it anyway. She stared. This boy, homeless and unwanted, carried himself with a quiet dignity. He had no reason to care for anyone, but he did. When their eyes met again, he walked over. For a moment, she braced herself for the same words strangers always offered: "I'm sorry for you. I wish you could walk." But instead, he simply studied her legs and whispered, "Let me try." The words shocked her. How could he possibly believe he could do what the best doctors had failed to do? Who was he? A boy with nothing, offering everything. But before she could answer, a hospital worker rushed forward. They grabbed his arm, accused him of harassing patients, called him names that dripped with contempt. He didn't fight back. He just stood there, silent, letting the insults wash over him like rain. And Emily? She burned inside, for the first time. She wasn't angry at her own body. She was angry at the world. A world where her pain was pitied, but his humanity was denied. That night she lay awake, replaying his words. Could it be possible that healing came not from titles or wealth, but from someone society had already thrown away? What Emily didn't know was that her answer would not only test her faith, but expose the raw, uncomfortable truth about how we decide who is worthy of being seen. It happened in the hospital courtyard, broad daylight, where people couldn't pretend not to see. Emily had begged her father to let the boy try, but the surgeon dismissed him with a laugh. He's nothing. He knows nothing. Yet something in her refused to let go. So when she spotted him again near the entrance, she wheeled herself toward him. The crowd noticed. First came whispers, then stares. A surgeon's daughter, rolling her chair straight to a homeless black boy. He reached down, gently placing his hand over her trembling legs. His touch was careful, reverent, as if he believed strength still lived inside her body. But before the moment could breathe, the storm erupted. Security lunged forward, voices sharp and ugly. "Get away from her! Don't touch her!" Guests spilled out of the hospital, their polished shoes echoing on the pavement. Some laughed, others sneered. "Imagine her with him!" Emily's father shoved through the crowd, his face red with fury. "Do you know who she is? Do you know who I am?" His voice cracked the air, but the boy didn't flinch. He stayed still, calm, his hand never leaving her fragile leg. And then it happened. A spark, a twitch, the faintest movement Emily had ever felt. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She whispered, "I felt it." The courtyard fell silent. For a heartbeat, hope hovered in the air. But instead of awe, the crowd's silence curdled into rage. "This is madness!" someone shouted. "He's tricking her! He's dangerous!" Security tore him away, dragging him across the concrete as if he were filth. His hands reached back toward her, desperate but powerless. Emily screamed, her voice shaking with something deeper than fear. It wasn't just her body trapped anymore. It was the truth itself, shackled before her eyes. And in that moment, Emily understood. The miracle wasn't just her legs moving. The miracle was that he had seen her humanity when the world refused to see his. But the question now was, would anyone else believe it? They dragged him away that day, his cries echoing against the cold hospital walls, swallowed by the silence of people who refused to intervene. Emily's father called it a humiliation. The guests called it a scandal. But Emily knew the truth. It was a tragedy. In the days that followed, no one wanted to talk about what she felt in that courtyard. Doctors dismissed it as a spasm, a coincidence. Her father warned her never to mention the boy again. But in her heart, she carried the moment like a flame. The warmth of possibility, the proof that someone the world labeled worthless had given her more hope than all the experts combined. She never saw him again. For all Emily knew, he vanished into the shadows the city forced him to live in. Yet his presence never left her. Because the miracle wasn't just in her legs, it was in her eyes. She now saw the world differently. She saw how quickly people dismissed him, not because of what he did, but because of what he looked like. She saw how easily wealth excused cruelty, while poverty erased dignity. She saw that racism didn't always wear a badge or carry a weapon. Sometimes it hid in polite laughter, in silent stares, in the refusal to believe. And that realization changed her more than walking ever could. Emily's story is fictional, but the injustice is not. Every day, voices are silenced, lives diminished, and humanity denied, simply because of the color of someone's skin or the place they come from. The question is, how many more miracles will be buried under prejudice before we finally learn? to see each other as human. Because sometimes the greatest healing doesn't come from surgeons or science. It comes from compassion, from courage, and from daring to believe in someone society has already thrown away. So ask yourself, if you had been there that day, would you have seen a homeless boy? Or would you have seen hope?